All right, we're good.
Rock and roll.
Oh. Okay. Oh, we're good. There's still stuff going on. Okay, we should be good now. All right. Okay. Okay. Sure.
Hi, Aaron. Oh, there she goes. Hey.
Sorry about that.
All right. Like to call the regular meeting to order. And. You got that thing? 5:48. 5:48. Thank you.
All right. All right. Keith Gordon,
Yes.
Max Louie.
Yep.
Tim Han.
Yes.
Michelle Kelly, here, Jamie Wilson, here, Sean Drusendorf.
Yes.
James Cartwright.
Here. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rest the board, is there anybody? We'll move right on to the presentation, class of 2026 prom details.
Does this work? That works. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are the class of 2026 juniors. I'm Daisy. I'm Charlotte. And we are presenting the Masquerade prom. Well, fall theme prom. And it's at Moonwings in Cuba. May 31st from 7 to 11 p.m. And the tickets are going to be $50 each, sold individually.
You said May 31st?
Yes.
How much would it start?
The 50.
Like fun.
Is that it?
Can I ask why you're moving the venue?
Because like
Everyone does it at the
like,
lodge,
yeah.
and I think it's fun there, but we wanted to do something different this year. And have something to like, maybe like other people to know that like you can have it at other places, it doesn't have to be in a single location every year.
Thank you.
Transportation's gonna be the same, you're still gonna be able to work with Mr. Weaver to get buses to.
I'm thinking so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Have fun.
You're all set.
Thanks, thank you.
Think you want to fly?
You want flyer?
Sure.
Sure. I was gonna say, I wouldn't want you to turn for not that.
Thank you.
Did you ever?
Everything I just.
Right. All right, you just say it. Okay.
Now we'll call upon Hunt Engineers.
I lost my audience.
Each pick up, do that, right?
No, it's just naturally entitled to all.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Thank you. Find out.
This one here.
Sure.
All right, good stuff. So, French bulldogs don't wear glasses, they eat them. Okay, so, I'm gonna try to see this human glass, but it may be tough. Okay. So, just want to do another update because we've gotten a little bit more information, not a tremendous amount, but we do kind of got to make some decisions to be able to move forward and to try to meet some schedules and stuff like that. So we wanted to be able to get in front of you and just pose those questions to you. Quick schedule update for the capital project that we're doing now, the phase one. We're still in SED review. Okay, so the last I looked, technical review is done, but the PM is still reviewing that. So we would expect to see that any day, any minute these days. So we expect to have that done in February, go out to bid in March. So that'll be about a month and probably about 5 weeks. And that will come back to you on April 22nd for award of those contracts. And then construction, we're looking for that to happen throughout the summer, wrap it up sometime in October and then close out through December. Nothing's really changed there, other than we expected to have approval in January and not February from SED. They're running a little behind. Quick summary of the budget. The current project that I just spoke about, we're estimating at about 5.2 million. The EPC project that's at SED currently, almost 2 million, and that total is about 7.1. Your total referendum was 9.8, so that leaves 2.7 million for a phase two. If everything goes well, and there's 2.7 million because we pulled that HVAC work out of the phase one project to go into a clean green project, and so that freed up that 2.7. All right, so as of right now, we're estimating 2.7 for a phase two project. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So phase two, I think we've reviewed this with you before. Nothing has really changed. It's a list of items. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern with this because your attorney is reviewing it to make sure that it meets your proposition that you guys put out. Right? They do the propositions generally specific. There's always some leeway for things like this, and so they'll review this list and just make sure that it meets the proposition so that you can do it. Okay. So they're still in that process currently. So phase two schedule. So basically we had a plan that we would open bids for phase one, award that in April. And so at that time, we'll know what we have left over for phase two. If the bids come in higher or lower, we'll know that at this time. So we'll have a budget to design to at this time. So that's why we're saying April through August is design and construction documents. We'll submit it to SED for their review period and their approval. Get them back, put it out to bid basically a year from now. And basically it looks like the same as this project just next year, right? Construction April through August or October and close out in December. Okay, so that's for the phase two. It's a smaller project, obviously. It's half the size of what we're doing this year. All right, so this is really why we wanted to get in front of you again tonight. So this is that nice circle clean grade. So that's the grant that you guys won from the state, and so basically they awarded you the $776,251, and so that's your local share. Okay, so that with that covering your local share, you're able to do a $14.9 million project with no tax impact. Okay. So what we're proposing for that scope is listed right here. So it's replace classroom UVs, casework, tops, hot water units with VRF coil, heating and cooling throughout with the VRF. So basically, we're gonna provide air conditioning throughout the entire building. Okay, that's, at the end of the day, that's really the goal. It's just a matter of how we do it. We're proposing VRF. Replacing some rooftop units with heat pumps and heat wheels, replacing some air handling units with the same. And then there's these items here. So these are basically, this supports this work. So upgrade to support the HVAC work. So basically control upgrades. We can include in the clean green. We can include structural work to support any new units we put on the roof. So we also pulled that out of that the phase one capital project, and we were able to put it in this project because it supports that clean green work. There's electrical upgrades. So because there's so much more electricity being used for the systems, HVAC systems, because they're all heat pumps, we're gonna up that service, and that can be included in the clean green as well. That's a pretty big ticket right there, but you know that, right? So that can be included in this as well. So we're proposing on May 20th vote, so that's your budget vote, okay? We're proposing that date. Design would take 6 months after that, SED approval 6 months after that, and construction in 2026 and 2027. Okay, I'll come back to that schedule a little bit. So this is what it could look like, all right? So we did an initial presentation in December. We're doing our presentation today. All right, so after today, basically give me the, yeah, sounds great, or no, we don't want to move forward on that. If you decide to move forward, we'll start to look at the seeker. Okay, we'll review the seeker, the requirements for that. I've already had conversations with your attorney on that. And then we'll come back in April, and it'll require a special board meeting. Okay, oh, look at that. It'll require a special board meeting. On this meeting, you'll determine seeker, and you'll approve the proposition that goes out to the voters. Okay, the reason it's we have to do it on that April 1st is because of the advertisement requirements before you put a proposition out to vote. Okay, there's well, you can see it, the advertisement has to be between 45 and 49 days before the vote. So we have to try to meet that. The other thing is we're trying to give the state as much time as possible. So as of right now, the state, this is kind of newer stuff, this clean green thing. They haven't decided on a contract yet. So they're trying to figure out, you know, some of the workings of contracts before, before they put this stuff out. So we don't know that yet. So until we have that information, we won't be able to go out to vote. All right, so so the state and Train, who submitted this application for you, they've been in conversations, and they think it's going to take a couple months. So if they can get that contract language and get that all figured out on how that works before April 1st, then this schedule works. Okay, if they can't do it before April 1st, we don't hit the May 20th vote date, and then we come back to you and say, when do you want to vote? You know, we wait for that contract stuff to be done by the state. And we say, when do you want to go out to vote? I'm doing this over again. Okay, so I want you to be aware of that. There is a likelihood that could happen, that we could not vote on May 20th for the clean green. Okay, does everybody understand that?
This is like the expedited schedule, right? The original schedule was posted for next summer, right?
Well, this is specifically for the clean green portion.
Yes, yeah.
HVAC, yep.
But
This is best case scenario.
that's
This is best case scenario.
Now, is there a reason why we're trying to push this into this year instead of next year? Because there are some of the HVAC units going bad or something?
No, mostly
20.
Oh, no, I'm just wondering if there were some problems we were seeing with it.
No, it's just we're taking full advantage of this opportunity of this clean green where we can, instead of going out of pocket, pay 2 mil of floor,
Mhm.
you know, now you're having the opportunity to have your local share covered. And have UVs and everything else replaced.
Guess what I mean, would it be your recommendation that we push really hard to try to get this done this year, or is it fine wait until next year?
I don't know if we'd be able to really push much harder than we are right now.
So you,
Right now, it's back and forth between NYSERDA and Train. They're trying to get the wording of the contract. Cause I sat in with a meeting with Train and NYSERDA. They're just sitting down trying to figure out the wording of it to get this submitted. So everything will go through a lot smoother.
The question is, we got that grant, we want to use that grant, we gotta spend that grant, so let's move this forward as fast as we can, because the fact is, that this is what we all decided to go with anyway. Was the stuff, so if it happens within this coming year, that
It'd be ideal,
be our priority.
but if worst case scenario.
the sooner the better is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Max, I would say that's a pretty good statement to say about all construction. Because stuff doesn't get cheaper. It does get cheaper, so if you can get on sooner or later, you're probably gonna save money.
So you just need us to say, okay, go ahead.
Yes, that's basically it. I wanna, and so everybody kind of understands this before I kind of move forward, right? This best case scenario, we don't get that contract language worked out. Come back to you and you say June, July, whatever date you want to pick, that works for you, that meets our, we just have to have that time for the advertisement to meet legal requirements. But I think we try to do it as soon as we can, once we have that language developed. Yeah, so basically. That's gonna freeze. Not gonna go anywhere. Okay.
I'm concerned if we don't make this vote
Mhm.
for that. Yeah.
Chris, what'd you do?
The public.
Is it because you touched the
They don't pay
screen?
up a lot.
Oh, is that?
We like tap it twice or something.
So if we had a special vote, it most likely would probably vote.
Oh, Jamie.
Yeah.
They're smart.
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 No way would they realize they're gonna pay.
Yeah, but how many times have we done that and they still are naysayers thinking that money is. Yeah.
So if you don't make that vote date, then basically we would need to have a special.
Yes.
You couldn't wait till next year.
Yes, you wouldn't be able to do it with your budget. Yeah, you do, you could do it 10 days later, I don't think you would, but you could. You could do it whenever you choose, whenever you think the, public would come out. Whether that's in the summer, I mean, you might try to avoid the summer, might try to do it sometime in June. That's a conversation for you guys to have in the house. But yeah, you'd have to decide on another time to vote. And basically just have that it'd be a standalone proposition. That's the only thing they become difficult. Yeah. And so with that said, yeah, basically. You guys just have to kind of give me your okay that, this is the scope of work. This is the scope of work that was submitted to Clean Green from Train. And that this is probably the 3rd or 4th time you've seen it, but just, now it gets a little bit more formal, right? Yeah, Mike, please move forward. We approve of that scope, please move forward. And then I can start the seeker and I can get the attorneys involved in writing the proposition and everything like that. But I wouldn't want to get them started and then you guys decide not to do it. And then it's just, that's kind of where we're at. You guys feel like you want to move forward with this project?
Yes.
With this scope?
Would it be a motion or resolution or just?
No,
It's
it's
neat.
literally we just did one for Alfred Army the other day. It's ahead now. Like, yeah, move forward. Yep.
Well, I think it doesn't move forward as
Yeah.
fast as we can, so I think, yes.
Okay,
Need to cool classrooms.
great. Any questions with what I went through? Yeah, everyone understand the budget and how you can do a $15 million project with no tax impact. With the 776,000 covering the local share, everybody understand that? Okay. Well, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and Erin knows how we get to that point as well. She knows all
I think I asked a bunch on that one last time.
Yeah. You're a pro now, good. All right, well, great, that's it for me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it, so, thank you.
The trouble, but.
Thank you. I'm not gonna touch that because I don't want to screw it up. I'll touch it.
Chris is great.
Oh, no, it's gonna hold on. Technology for you.
The one thing I did not discuss was just the EPC project. That is also at SCP. And, we just got, Brian just received the contract for that. Revised contract. You know, so we'll get that to SCP and, then they'll approve the project shortly. You're confident everything's getting approved though? Yeah, we're already set with technical review. It's really just more PM paperwork type of review now. So in that schedule, basically run parallel with the phase one capital project. We'll probably actually finish soon for that. Okay. Great, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Need a motion to approve the minutes from January 14th, 2025 meeting.
I'll motion.
James in second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Administrative reports. That Mr. Edrick from you. Out getting his CMT to help us out. Sarah's and what Sarah's is on the second by yeah. You don't want to fight to the time and turn it on. Thank you very much. You have any reports?
Thank you very much, Tor.
Yes, thanks.
You're very welcome. It's good.
I need a motion to accept and adopt the school leadership LLC report and its specifications.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'll second that.
Tim? You got a second on it?
Tim, you giving Tim that one? I was like.
I wasn't sure. All right, go for it. We got an argument.
Is it now?
Tim and Max. Tim and Max. Any questions, comments, concerns on that?
I mean, I certainly read over all of it and I was happy with what they've come up with and all of the different stakeholder meetings and the surveys. Like a lot of people, yeah, contributed, which was great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Financial reports.
Yeah, I will wait until the budget work session to talk about that.
Sounds good. I heard something about work session, so I think she's leaving it.
Can you control the budget? No possible.
No, thank you. Do you want to do your treasurer's report, or you want to wait for that for the work session? Oh, both of them? Yeah, okay. We can, approve the warrant reports, all right? No, I'm sorry.
No, you can go ahead and do the motions.
That's what I was thinking, all right. I need a motion to approve the treasurer report.
And the money.
I'll motion. Yeah, the extracurricular
Yeah,
activities.
it's
all right.
come to the TV.
It's
It's on the agenda.
on the addendum. Oh.
Okay.
On the motion. So, second. Any questions, comments, concerns with that? What's your move? Yeah, red one. The red one. Oh, okay.
We just didn't get completed in time for the annex one.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns, Kurt, or all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to approve the warrant reports. James, the motion. I'll second. Max with the second. Do you have any questions, concerns, comments on the warrant report? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to approve the Wilson's cooperative purchasing resolution. So
I'll second.
Tim. Jamie, the second.
Michelle.
Was it Michelle?
I want
Michelle with a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the Rick and Risk Operations Center Rochester resolution. Motion. Max with the motion. I'll second. Sean with the second. Information on that, I apologize.
Sorry, so basically this resolution is an intermunicipal arrangement that allows vendor management and data security. So basically what we're doing is we're pooling with other RICs, and other BOCES to ensure that when we have contractors who come in, mainly for us, curriculum contractors, or those who manage or run student information, that we all work together and pool our resources for data security. That's really what we're looking at, is to ensure that this data privacy consortium is a partner with our district and represents our district when we're looking, negotiating terms of agreements with companies that will come in and gain access to student or adult data.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns with that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I need a motion to authorize data protection officer, DPO. I'll second. Max with the motion, Tim with the second. Jeff Levine. It's Jeff Levine. Yeah, that's what I thought it would be written down there. Any questions, comments, concerns with that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Under consent agenda, there's also your addendum to, well, two additions to your consent agenda.
I didn't know that we were ready to vote on number 7.
I think we're gonna pull that one.
We're probably.
So-
Yep. Can I get a motion to accept
I'll motion.
the motion?
So you're voting to remove number 7.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
This is there a motion to move number 7 or a motion to?
yes, there's a motion to
I haven't
remove.
heard, that's what I'm curious, I've heard a motion.
That's what I was wondering.
We had no discussion about removing it. And at all, so that's why I'm curious. Go ahead.
You guys have a motion first.
Right.
I'll motion.
I guess, yeah,
There's a motion is to approve the consent agenda. And there would be a second, then there would be discussion, then there'd be a motion if wanting to remove number 7 after discussion. That's the order of operations.
so I need a motion originally to talk about it, correct? So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Max with the motion. On second. With the second. Any questions, concerns, comments for the consent agenda?
Wait. I just thought that we didn't finish the agreement with that, so I didn't know how we were voting on that before finalizing.
So what the board is doing right now is you're authorizing Willie to serve as the interim supervisor. That authorization allows him to investigate the working conditions that are currently in Belfast and all student roles and responsibilities. And then we are in the process of developing a shared services agreement while we quantify what the cost of that would be, both our district, to Willie and to Belfast.
This is the open investigation of this.
So his serving as the interim, well, in essence, it gave him access to the information. And what you as a board are doing are ensuring that he is indemnified and given permission from the board to take on some of those responsibilities as he moves forward. What you're saying, and what you're also saying is that you're giving us and him the opportunity to investigate what the future costs and parameters of a shared services agreement should be, so that at the next month meeting, the March board meeting, we can better quantify what that looks like for you.
Why don't we have the date till the next March meeting? Wouldn't that make more sense just to have the date from now?
He can't get the information prior to, right? Is that what you're saying? He basically can't get that.
If he's not authorized by the Board of Ed to do this, if he sticks his neck out, he can get held accountable. From you, from me, right? So what you're doing is basically saying you're giving him permission to pursue a shared services agreement. Or possible shared transportation supervisor. And the reason you're giving that permission is because he will be doing some of the responsibilities of Belfast during his regular workday.
Right.
And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but the question that's being asked is why we're not moving it from February 27th to March of.
Oh, shortening it up.
Yeah, it shouldn't be June 30th.
So
because this right here is stating that.
I have no problem with changing that date. Right, if that's really.
Next meeting.
So the reality is the shared services, the shared services agreement's gonna come in. So that authorization is coming, then you'll vote yea or nay.
That makes more sense.
I have no problem, but either way.
But with it stated this way, is it saying that person admitted that he didn't, without a vote, he can go all the way to June 30th.
What I can assure you is that the only person who's gonna, in my opinion, make a decision about whether he wants to roll or not is Will.
Correct.
And so, because even just because you're authorizing him to do so, if you're concerned that he's gonna get into a situation where he can't get himself out of, that's not the case. So if I have no problem with you changing the date of that to the next board meeting. However, what you're mostly doing is allowing him to do the work, to investigate whether he wants to do this work, and then helping us to develop what the contract should look like for the shared services.
Is that enough time frame for him?
I hope so. That's why I originally put it on in June, because my anticipation is we're gonna have a draft version of a shared service agreement. If we don't, I'll be communicating with you in advance and say, here's the parameters that we're looking at.
We can extend it again.
We can, if that's what you want. It's your prerogative as a board. My main concern here is that you have granted him indemnification for any work that he takes on at Belfast. And that he's not gonna face repercussions for doing work outside of the district work during his workday for children. That's my concern, is just to make sure that he's protected.
Right, I think I would leave that day.
Play a little King Solomon here and just let it do 2 months. That's half of the 4.
Well, I think the concern is, and I agree with Dr. Schmidt 100%, is that we're identifying him that he can't get.
Right.
With the board.
Right.
But also that the school district itself is not gonna be costing money out.
Right.
To take care of Belfast without us knowing the contract, so that's why I suggested. You know, I mean, all of a sudden, if it comes in and we agree to this and for some reason, that Genesee Valley is actually putting money out towards Belfast, that's what the board members would have an issue.
And it's not, and again, that's my job, is to ensure that you're informed if that was to come to the case. But I want to make sure that he's protected in this investigation.
Right.
And I'll be frank, I'm not worried about the end date, because at any point between now and June, if he says, I don't want to do this, then I'm going to support him to do that. I'm not going to hold him accountable for that.
Right, and I think the board's all in agreement with that, as far as I know, is that we were leaving this on Willie's shoulders. Right. You know, he's the expert in this, just like, no different than Aaron's expert or the treasurer. So, to me, I would think we just change the date until the next board meeting, go over that, and then, if we have any issues or Willie has any issues, I'm sure he'd be informed, and I appreciate if Willie would come to the next board meeting to discuss it.
I agree with that. It's just a change to March 11th.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say real quick, I certainly support Willie doing something like this. If he said that it's something he thinks he can take on. I know Willie well, and I'm sure that he would be able to do that. My only concern at this point is, that nothing has been at least minimally reduced to writing. So, I would ask for a motion to remove it as a standalone vote. number 7 from the consent agenda. And when I see a shared services agreement, I think that I probably will be very much okay with that. I just think it's a lot of responsibility for our district to take on without having, you know, some minimal things that assure that it's not going to be at any cost to our district. And just some other things that we kind of discussed that haven't really been ironed out yet. And I get that, you know, it takes time to do those things, but my hope would be that, you know, Brian, you and Wendy can kind of come up with some of that with Lily.
Can I respond? Yes. So just to keep in mind, we have already merged athletics programs. We have merged transportation, and Willie currently does the transportation routing for all of the athletics for both districts. So I understand your concerns about what being right. I don't disagree that I want to have clear expectations spelled out on parameters. The goal of this is why he's the interim, is that this is a trial run to see if this is something we want to move forward with or don't want to move forward with. I trust Dr. Butler, I trust Willie to be able to move forward and make those determinations. So again, that's what you're granting here. But your call as a board is that how you move forward. And again, from my lens, if this is not approved tonight, my message to Willie is going to be do not move forward. And then I'll let Dr. Butler know. I want to make sure that he's protected.
And I agree with you, Brian, about making sure Will is protected, and I think that's why I would prefer something in writing. I would prefer that there be something in writing that if Willie doesn't feel that he can do it, that at 30 days, 2 weeks, 24 hours, whatever notice that he can be out of it. And also, that I think this could potentially impact other employees in the transportation district as well, and I want to make sure that they have protections that you're talking about too. So I agree, and I share that stance with you. That's why I would prefer to have something reduced to writing.
So we're asking for a motion to pull that out for a separate vote. Can I get a motion on that?
A motion.
Michelle, the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Max with second. Any questions, concerns, comments with that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
No, this is the call.
This is the pull out.
Oh, it's pulled out, yeah.
This is the vote you made.
Sorry.
Seventh motion's pulled out for consent agenda. And now we will do a vote on number 7 separately.
And this is with the understanding the dates being changed to March 11th, and we have to have another motion.
I guess the motion would be to accept number 7 with the date change of till March 11th.
Motion for that.
Yeah, Max with the motion, I'll second. James with a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
6-1. Now I need to go back up and do a vote on the consent agenda. We had a motion by Max and second by Sean. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to accept the resignation of Linda Warner for retirement on June 30th, 2026.
A motion. I'll second.
Michelle, the motion. Jamie,
Just
just
to
a
keep her
second.
here.
Appreciate that. Oh,
No, not at all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. I need a motion to accept Crystal Alada,
I'm saying that all the time. Thank you.
to GVC standard code for the fair season of 2025. Jamie with the motion.
I'll second.
Max with a second. Any questions, concerns?
Oh, this side.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Gotta go back.
See, first line, yep. On the personal action items, there will be a C, appoint the 2024-25 spring softball.
So moves.
One second. Jim with motion, Sean with the second. Any questions, comments, concerns with that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Informational and discussion.
You had the dates for the upcoming meetings following break. There for your reference. You have a copy of the 25-26 school calendar. With our agenda is our hope is to adopt that at the March 11th board meeting. Take a look at that and give us any feedback to share that with at least one of the co-presidents. I haven't gotten the blessing of the second co-president yet, but I'm confident that she's in favor of this. And then the goal will be to adopt it. If you notice, a couple highlights of that calendar is it's an early April break, we're looking at 2 weeks of the Christmas holiday again. And the school year continues late again into June 26th next year. And then the last thing that I have is that's all I have. The work session.
I need a motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
Motion.
Jamie, give the motion. Second. Jamie, give the second. 6:29 p.m. Any issues with that? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Call the work order at 6:30 p.m.
Hang on just a second, because we're still live.
Sure.
So, anyway, I think it ends in Zoom. Get rid of Aaron.
I don't think you need to do a thing, Pam. The work session can be publicized. Have the budget discussion.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't need to change a thing.
all right, let me scan these out, these are from Aaron, real quick.
Thanks, Pam.
Thanks, Paul. You too. Thank you.
Aaron, can you talk to us again?
Can you hear me?
Try it again. I think it timed out. Go ahead again.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Why?
Yeah. It's the down is this.
Yeah.
So we switch to speakers. I don't know what they've done.
Volume's all the
Volume's all the way up.
Is
Try it again.
Is that better?
Not really.
Thanks.
Did you hear me earlier?
No,
Can hear you.
we can hear you, but not real well. I think it's this HDMI. The box not plugged in.
We are.
The box is all plugged in. Yeah, must be for their
I think that
laptop.
was for the computer. when it
Yeah.
had to be here. I think we can get that in here. Works better.
Try that. Go ahead, Aaron.
Is that better?
Cause the speaker's over here on the side.
Yeah, he's coming through the Dell and not
Yeah, and just over here.
not. I don't know what they've done.
We'll just have to be extra quiet, I guess.
Yeah.
It's fine.
What happens if you switch it to like the owl and then back? I tried. You already did. Mhm. Alright, so I'll have to be loud.
Brian, did you want to start the conversation with the after-school program? Or did you want me to do that?
Just so, at the board's request, if you take a look at the packet and, we've got two presentations. One from Healthy Kids Programs, New York, Tennessee Valley. And you've got another one from the YMCA. These are two programs that are, would be paid for participation in an extended school day program and or summer program. So I'm going to ask you, you can go ahead and read through those. They're pretty self-explanatory. What is clear is that the decision needs to be made sooner rather than later, as those people who would like to gain some sort of financial assistance. My understanding is that the process is quite cumbersome and time consuming, so it's going to take them a while. The recommendation from the YMCA was to actually start the process in May for those people who think they qualify for a reduced tuition rate for YMCA programs. And so, and then this can be whatever you want it to look like as a part of the budget process. If you want them to have to in essence develop an agreement with the district to oversee the extended school day program. If you want them to oversee a portion of the summer program. Just keep in mind that the summer program is a combination of special education programs. It's a combination also including some remediation courses that the district covers the cost of, and then the Final Jungle program. So there's three aspects of that program. The special education program is funded through the IDA grant, and it's mandated programming for students to decrease the amount of summer loss. And so that is mandated for all of our students that qualify with their IEPs. And then one of the reasons we've made significant gains instructionally over the last 3 years is our summer enrichment program, academic program, where we bring students in who need a little boost in either ELA or math, and they come in and work with GB teachers over the summer to try to help again save off the summer slide. And then the final component is the final general component, which is from 8 to 3, servicing between 90 and 110 students on a daily basis. Who are participating in summer activities, summer daycare, and then the new tradition of the summer drama program takes place over the summer. I learned about the possibility of a National Endowment of the Arts grant yesterday. Had a conversation with Terry. Don and I are going to need to take a look at that as a possible way to help offset some of the costs of a summer drama production. That's in its infancy right now. We're just looking at it. First time as of yesterday. The information on each of the programs are there for you to review, and when the time comes for us to make decisions about final programming for the district, you can be informed when we have those conversations. What questions do you have at this point around those pieces of it?
Kelly said anybody under 110,000.
So I'm looking at it because trying to find that. So essentially what I had was the information that was posted at the Allegheny County Department of Social Services, that essentially said a family of 3. Depends on the family side for it, but a family of 3 with a state median income of 107,000, but this is using the 85% of New York annual income amount. So I don't know how that works out. But when I had a conversation asking the people of the county that do it, that's what they. So the numbers are different. I don't know why that is. And that's what I was trying to do, is just look up on the state website to see what they have up there.
I know these are the numbers I've seen with my daycare, so I don't know if they've updated recently, but these are the last ones that I received from daycare.
It seems like it's cheaper than YMCA.
And they also qualify for the same programming that
YMCA, so they're an approved program statewide. People could also apply for financial assistance too.
Now, I noticed it says here for the YMCA, the teachers can apply to the program, is that something how the kids did?
Yes.
It is,
So they want people, they would be serving as employees of those organizations.
so they can, the people that still work after school for us, they can still do their job.
Depending on the amount of individuals that those programs deem necessary.
Okay.
No, I think this probably. I can answer this, but it doesn't say it, I just wanna. On the healthy kids, where it's like 4 to 5 days a week, it's $291 per month. Per child or for a family.
Per child.
Per child.
You know, either program allows student workers?
I'm not sure. That wasn't a question that I asked. I believe so. I know the YMCA does. I actually have to say, no, I'm pretty confident that the YMCA does. I'm not sure about how it's in the end.
If either one of these programs were chosen, like, we would no longer be in charge of the program. These companies would be in charge of the program.
And they set the rate of what they're paying the employees as well, even though there really are employees, but for this, they would be employed by the Y.
So with these pieces of information, then it makes it so the board is definitely looking to take the fund of the jungle program or what we have and take that out and outsource it to somebody else.
After school.
No, I was finding the jungle.
The after-school program.
I think it's a little late here to try to, you know, jungle.
Yeah, I think we're planning on doing it. We're planning to juggle.
I would appreciate clarification because I don't know what you're planning to do. I've heard a variety of different things from work on others individually, so.
I thought I was confused, so I thought all we're talking about was after school, I know that maybe, I don't know, maybe in the future, if this goes really well, then we can look into it. But I thought now we're just after school.
I thought you said your school. Just right in your school.
Well, and I don't know if that helps either, if we have more of a conversation with Aaron talking about just the budget in general, if that helps us to decide as well, but.
And that's why I said that the decision doesn't need to be made today. We finalize the program, and get closer to something, consideration, and this is very few about the background information on the decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely all want, we don't want to see that option just go away. We want families to still have, you know, an option on being able to have their children provided with after school care. I mean, my intention was for us to look at other options that would be at, you know, a reduced cost to us while still providing service to the kids and families. So I think these at least give it to us. And sorry, I'm trying to listen, but I'm also trying to read the bullet, so I haven't paid as much attention to some of the dialogue.
I just want to be open and transparent to, each question. Honestly, Kim, us as a board and elected by the taxpayers and stuff, we are doing the best we can to help this budget. We don't want we don't want any cuts at all.
Right.
We're looking at every option. This is not, just because we have these in front of us, doesn't mean it's a done deal. It all depends on how the budget works out. You know, I think the board is obviously, you know, we don't want to have anything changed. We love what's going on, but with the issue we had last year, we have to look at the difference between, you know, gen ed teacher or some fun in the jungle. It all depends, you know, what the budget comes in. So this is just a preliminary,
Yeah, I understand you have to get the budget to balance, I get that you have to have the amount, you know, the right amount of money and that money just doesn't grow on trees, I get all of that, I'm just surprised. I don't know, at some of the prices, like the $300 a month for 2 hours, like.
right, exactly.
And I will have no kids in the program, and I'm not looking for kids, full disclosure, you know.
Oh, yes, that's qualified though, that's what we were saying.
Potentially, it's based on income,
Yeah.
but people should.
Why would we go to an outside agency and not just do it ourselves? Like,
Administrative burden, we talked about that.
We talked about.
Yeah. So think about the amount of work it'll take for us to run that ourselves as far as collecting the bills, like billing.
And they can apply for TSS through us, right?
Following up with families that maybe haven't paid or, you know.
I just hate the
handle that.
idea of ever like giving up control of something that we do to somebody else. personally. I feel like we always do things better.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us sitting here wants that.
Yeah, that's,
You know?
that's why I was asking, like, could we charge?
But do we wanna give it up all together and not have anything here, or do we want to, you know, at least try to keep something here for our families?
Right.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, and, you know, when it really comes to it, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, in my opinion, education comes first. And I'd rather make sure our kids are getting educated, other than, I don't necessarily wanna call it a babysitting after school, but that's kind of what it is that I've witnessed. It's, you know, it's gotten better, I'm gonna tell you that right now, it definitely has gotten 100% better, but on the other hand. To me, I think the money needs to be spent on, education of our students first, and I think the board is in agreement with that, but we certainly are not looking to. Just cut it off, we're doing the best thing we can do to continue our programs and.
And with this, I mean, 107,000 is a pretty big threshold for a family, so a lot of people are gonna be able to apply for assistance and get it fully covered.
They can't apply it, we run it, they can only apply if somebody else does it.
It has to be someone licensed by OSPS.
It'd be a lot of people.
That makes sense.
Would we be able to help families if they needed help filling out the paperwork? I worry about some of the people, like some families being able, like looking at a packet of paperwork, like we can't even get the free and reduced lunch stuff back because people don't wanna fill it out. So I just worry about the kids losing out because the adults don't really wanna fill out the paper or can't fill it out or don't really know what it's asking. So like, would that be like a healthy compromise of yes, having this program, but then being able to help people realize that the paperwork's really not that bad and you could fill it out in order to apply and like.
And so Pam, I've been talking to Pam. So I was thinking of kind of some of our neediest families too, and quite honestly, the process for them will be much simpler if they're already enrolled in any kind of public assistance. So the Department of Social Services will already have all of their household information and that they qualify for public assistance, which is a much lower threshold than this.
Gotcha.
And then essentially it's just a pass-through money. DSS would just pay the YMCA or Healthy Kids for whatever amount it is that they utilize that month. They do have to, so the only other component is that you have to be able to show, I believe, that you are working or doing something to, you know, if you're going to an interview or whatever else, that would justify the time that you need for childcare.
Gotcha.
But I don't think we would hinder as the board if she wanted to assist the family that did work.
No.
And kudos to you for.
I just worry that some people would look at that and be like,
Absolutely.
nope.
Yeah.
I believe the Y offers some assistance with that as well, but whether or not they reach out, I don't know.
Well, they're usually pretty motivated to do it because they would prefer to have a direct pay that they know is assured, so.
It's pretty expensive.
So to clarify, at this point, board is committed to the fund in the general for the summer program this year. In this budget. And then what you're looking at is just the after school program. And Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but the after school program costs that are budgeted for this year are approximately $100,000.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. So fund in the general is approximately $50,000, and then summer programs, or sorry, extended day programs, $100,000. As you're quantifying programs, when you get closer to how to make those decisions, you have that background information. All right, with that, Aaron, if you want to jump into the overall budget review.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with the special ed classrooms. This is going to be a review to the ones on the budget personnel committee, but this is really just a basic overview of where we're at this current year. So this isn't the projections yet. So right at the top, these are the special ed classrooms that we have that we are getting tuition from other districts. So we have 2 611 classrooms. And if you have any questions while I'm going through this, just interrupt me. So in those 611 classrooms, we have 4 out of district kids and 3 in-district kids. So we are collecting roughly $471,000 in tuition from those out of district kids. What it costs us, you can see there the salaries and benefits for each classroom. And then if we were to send our 3 in-district kids that are currently in that classroom into a BOCES placement, that's what that would cost. So that's kind of the theme I carried through each classroom. I don't need to read through each of these, but we can kind of scroll down to the summary, the summary boxes just to kind of give you snapshots. So our the total tuition that we're receiving this year, and this changes every day, is roughly $1.3 million. If we were to send the 18 Genesee Valley special ed students that are in those classrooms to a BOCES placement, it would cost us roughly $1.3 million in BOCES expenses. And the classroom costs are 1.2 million. So our current scenario, what we're receiving in tuition, as well as the savings of keeping our kids in district, is about 2.7 million. And then the total expenses are those salary and benefits of the classroom. So the additional revenue in the budget is about 1.4 million. If we were to remove all of the tuition students, it would just be the cost of our salary and benefits, which is the 1.2 million again. These are just different scenarios based on questions that we received. So if we were to remove the classrooms and send all of our district kids to BOCES, so we would be eliminating 25 of our employees. So yeah, we would reduce the budget by the $1.2 million, and then it would cost us the BOCES placement costs, and it would be an overall cost in our budget of about $125,000. So the current snapshot of where we're at today, our original budget was $950,000. The tuition is up quite significantly. By one of our students by him not going to a BOCES placement, that was a surplus of about $87,000. And by eliminating the BOCES rent, those classrooms was a reduction in our revenue of $75,000 in the unbudgeted aides. So a lot of these are one-to-one aides that we're receiving tuition from. So overall, we are in a surplus of about $60,000 from what our budget was this year. Going into next year, this is very preliminary. So this is going to change. So we do have a reduction in our tuition students in their 611 classroom, and that is due to us having more in-district kids going in those classrooms. So our anticipated tuition, it did increase from our original budget, but it's down from what we are receiving this current year. And then it's anticipated just by our current needs that we will be shifting 5 of the out-of-district aides to long-term sub-aides for our in-district students. So that will be an additional cost in the budget. Like I said, there are other classroom openings that are still available that Sarah is working on. So these numbers will change throughout this process. But I just kind of wanted to give you a snapshot of what that would look like in those different scenarios. If, you know, we eliminated the tuition students, if we eliminated the classrooms in general, or if, you know, we sent everybody out to BOCES, what those costs would look like. Does anybody have any questions on that? I know it's a lot to take in, so you guys take it home and review it, and, you know, reach out if you do have any questions. So the next,
Sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Happy medium here, like, I mean, we got like if we keep everything or we got if we cut everything, is there something that would be like in the middle where you could, I don't know, I don't even know how you do that, but is that something you've looked into at all or no?
Well, I think you're kind of seeing it based on our current needs.
With the increase?
Yeah, because we have, I don't remember off the top of my head how many 611 students will be moving into the district, into our kindergarten program.
3 next year.
So 3.
I believe so.
Yeah, so, you know, that kind of shifts it a little bit. As far as a happy medium, it's hard to say at this point, just because I'm not sure of what the classroom needs are. They're just not finalized for next year.
Okay.
So,
I can respond to that. There really isn't a happy medium. We're providing that with this project, the way we do this. We're reality is, when you're starting cutting and moving kids out of our district into those programs, that we can do, you're gonna cut staff. So that's, that's why I have to be all or nothing scenarios. Our job is to review each kid individually to make sure that the IEP meets their needs, and then for us to provide program based upon the individual education plan. That's what we're doing. And so whether those programs are in-house or externally, the philosophy of this district, since I've been here, has been to keep as many Jet Valley kids in Jet Valley. So if that philosophy changes, I just need to know that as we go into budgeting, but we have found that our programming is superior to others.
Yeah, no, that's just what makes it tough. I mean, obviously, we wanna try to not stress out the staff that works in those rooms, but the alternative is getting rid of staff, so that's.
And getting rid of
Increases
kids.
our costs too.
And increase their costs, increase the costs in quite a bit.
Yeah, it does. And I second to what Brian just mentioned. I mean, what our staff can do compared to shipping them off to BOCES, it's just not even comparable for our in-district kids. So,
I don't know if we're here yet, but my question is, so what I can see here is, right now, we're getting aid of $470,000, not aid, we're getting tuition of $470,000 for our 6-1. So next year, as our own students move in, that number is going to be cut significantly to maybe 100,000, so that's a $300,000 gap. And we're not, potentially, and we can't cut any staff that went with this, so we've got this additional salaries of 362. We're gonna have the same number of students. You won't be able to eliminate any of that, which then increases. So I see over here on this contractual increase, a tuition increase of 70,000, but in my mind, that I get it 70,000 from what we budgeted last year, but given the number of students we have and our own students, in my mind, that this number is a decrease of 300,000, which increases our gap to 1.2.
right. Yeah. So the tuition that we are actually receiving this year is just over 1.3 million. And what I'm anticipating based on the current numbers I have right now is just $1 million. So that's where you're going to see that difference.
But our costs are up, right? Like,
Well, they are up, but the way it's in the budget, the costs are in the budget anyways. I'm offsetting that by the revenue. So those are going to be the expenses in the budget regardless. If, they're tuition students or if there are students, but our tuition is now going down. So yes, that is going to reflect an additional expenditure. But it's really reflected in the revenue. We're just receiving less revenue. Does that make sense?
so I think I hear that this additional $362,000 in unbudgeted aids is already included in the total cost that you have over on the sheet.
Right, for next year.
And so we're still getting 70,000 in from the 950 higher, so the gap is really 912.
Right.
And I just want to come back to, again, we have not finalized.
No, I
Where the
get
kids
it,
are
it's
at all.
really pretty limited, I just wanted to make sure, like,
Yeah.
if we're talking about a gap, we're talking about 912,000 and not 1.3 million.
Correct.
No, yeah, that's all reflected in the contractual increases page.
The estimates that we spoke about last week are around $1 million. That's what you're seeing.
Yeah, and I know the conversations I've had with Sarah Taylor, she's hopeful that there's going to be other students that will be tuitioned in as well, just in other classrooms. But right now it's just too early to tell. And the number of aides honestly is not finalized. So what I have in the budget is exactly what we have this year. So I don't know if that's going to change. That's just not finalized. So that I could see that going down.
So the Allegheny County Superintendents are meeting here on Thursday to look at the calendar, try to have a common calendar as well as to look at their special education needs. This is where the process started again last year for us to move into this direction.
Erin, this increased state aid of 221 doesn't quite tie to the data you sent us. Is it not updated, or is the number, is it 385 or 221?
Let me just see what I sent you.
The finance.
Yeah, yeah, I would go by what I have. Honestly, you just can't count on all the revenue that the state is, anticipating. I historically see it come in much lower in these other categories. The only one that you really can bank on is the foundation aid increase. So I have a separate sheet that I work off of. Like for instance, the building aid, I go through directly. I go through our financial advisor directly, and that's always a different number than what the state provides, and it's much more accurate. So those type of numbers are they're just estimates based on like what's going to be budgeted. So it's just they're just throwing numbers at you. I have a much more accurate um, budget that I work off of. Really, the only thing I do take from the spreadsheet is the foundation aid increase.
You want to walk these guys through, Aaron, the cover page you presented?
Yeah, yep. So for the contractual increases, you can see the salaries where we're at right now. This is all of existing staff. Obviously with the retirements, I put lower salaries in for those, but it's the same number of staff that we have this current year. So those are the contractual increases based on the raises in their contracts. The health insurance, this will be finalized at our next health insurance meeting in March, so that will be a few weeks away. I anticipate the 5% to be high. They're still finalizing health insurance plans. The way it's looking is they'll be presenting 3 health insurance plans to roll out to districts. But overall, they're estimating a 2 to 4% increase. Hopefully it's on the lower end of that. Benefits, you can see the rates here for ERS. It jumped up quite a bit, about 1.3%. TRS actually went down, and they just actually sent out a new TRS rate that's a little lower than this. So we will see a much larger decrease in TRS expenses as well. And then the Social Security expenses, which that's just based on our salaries. So between health insurance and our other benefits, we are projecting, just over $400,000 increase. Our BOCES expenses, this went up quite a bit, $165,000. This is mainly due to our 3-year average. We're having more kids attend BOCES, and that's reflected in our 3-year average projection. Revenue, we just kind of hit this, the increased tuition from the special ed kids. I'm projecting as of right now, $70,000. Our increased state aid is the 220, just under 222. Remove the BOCES room rental. So it was 75, but we are also doing a distance learning classroom, which is $3,000. So that will remain in the budget. So it'll decrease 72,000. Our debt reserve is at its end of life. So this was just money from excess funds from previous capital projects that we have been paying down debt with. So that amount decreased just under $30,000. So I'm still working on department budgets. The majority of them are in there. I'm tweaking just a couple things, and then the staff requisitions are submitted to the principals, and I will be meeting with them this week to finalize those. So other than that, we're getting there. There's still some unknowns at this point, but once the health insurance is finalized, I think, we'll have a much more accurate projection of where we're going to be at next year. So our current gap is just under $1 million. That's on the low end of where we've been the past few years. So that's promising, I guess. I know it's still scary, but it's pretty consistent to where we've been the past few years, just a little lower. Does anybody have any questions on this?
I think in our budget last year, we were projecting to use like 650,000 of our fund balance this year. Do you still see us projecting in that
Yeah, I have not changed that amount at all.
Okay.
I actually believe it was 725 last year. I think we increased that. So that's the same amount.
Okay.
So
So I know we've had some conversations around, I think for me, one of the biggest things that was. One of the biggest things that was a concern for me in the additional classroom was that. It came with eliminating the extra kindergarten and first grade. So I know we talked about the budget personnel negotiations. Meeting, I certainly as a board member would like to see this budget support those classrooms being back. I don't know how everyone else feels about that, but. I mean, obviously, the numbers are high this year. I think they're gonna be high next year. Better tour, I think there's more. In kindergarten classroom has been pretty steady, I think, from my understanding throughout the year. So obviously that's gonna be the same next year, or at this point, I know things, people move in, people move out. I know it's a hard thing to have a conversation about, but we, have that gap, but I still think it's something that, is important in ensuring that the kids, at those age levels are receiving the education that they need.
I appreciate you sharing that. I'll be making my program recommendations to the budget personnel committee meeting on the 26th, and then they'll come to the board following that. So probably, I'm aware we've talked, so we talked about these as priorities.
Well, I know Buddy, myself and Jamie said on that, but if anyone else feels differently or has a different opinion.
I agree. I mean, just from conversations I've heard, that it seems like it's had a benefit that having that. And I know it's easy for me to say having 2 kids in there, but this is just from other sources of information. So I would like to see this when possible. I was kind of thinking maybe if we were able to provide a program like the after school programs, and we still participate in it, we kind of offset the costs of that to use in your classroom.
any other questions on this?
You did an excellent job.
Yes, Erin, thank you very much.
Appreciate with all the reading I have, studying, I guess I should say.
Yeah, sorry to have to do it remotely. It would have been much easier to do it in
thanks
person,
for-
so.
We'll do an hour, sorry you don't feel good.
We feel better.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's all we've got for the work sessions. I think they're going to be worthy you want to discuss.
Like to do a short executive session motion. Executive
Should I do
session.
that after adjournment?
No, I think
Yeah, you have to do
then
the
the
board
board.
here.
We already did we adjourn?
Oh, we had.
Oh, good, yes. I, motion.
Max the motion. Into the second. All in favor? You that for us, Kevin?
I get to like it.